Hey, buddy, hit that subscribe. Just a sec for you, but it means the world to me. I woke up staring at a ceiling that wasn't mine, painted this sickly pale green that screamed hospital vibes. The air smelled like disinfectant and something stale, like time had been sitting still here for years. My head felt heavy, not dizzy, just off, like someone had unplugged me and plugged me back in wrong. I tried to sit up, half expecting pain or weakness, but my body worked just fine. No shaking, no confusion. That's when the panic hit. Because if my body was okay, then why the hell wasn't I at home? A woman in scrubs walked past the doorway like I didn't exist. "Hey, excuse me," I called out. My voice came out rough, like I hadn't spoken in days. She stopped, backed up, and gave me that polished, plastic smile doctors use when they're about to tell you something you're not going to like. "Oh, Mr. Reynolds, you're awake. That's great news." Reynolds. That was my name. So at least that part checked out. "Where am I?" I asked. She said it casually, like she was telling me the weather. "Riverside Extended Care Facility. You've been here 3 days." 3 days. I stared at her like she'd lost her damn mind. I was 65, not 95. I still drove my own car. I still fixed my own damn sink. The last thing I remembered was a dizzy spell at home a couple weeks back. Nothing dramatic. My son, Ethan, freaked out and dragged me to a doctor I'd never even heard of. The guy checked my blood pressure, scribbled a prescription, and sent me home. That was it. No ambulance. No emergency. No reason to lock me up in a nursing home. "There's been a mistake," I said. "I don't need to be here." She patted my arm like I was a toddler throwing a tantrum. "Your son handled everything. He said you might be confused at first." Confused? Nah, that word didn't sit right. I asked for a phone. What they handed me wasn't my smartphone. It was a cheap flip phone like we were back in 2005. When Ethan finally answered, he sounded annoyed, like I'd interrupted something important. "Dad, I'm in a meeting." "What's up? What's up?" I snapped. Why am I in a nursing facility? Silence. Thick. Heavy. Then he sighed. "We talked about this. You had another episode. The doctor said you needed supervision." "What episode?" "I feel fine. I want to go home." "Dad, you're not fine. We'll talk later." Click. He hung up. That's when I knew something was seriously messed up. I asked for my stuff. They brought me a clear plastic bag. Wallet. Watch. Wedding ring. No phone. No car keys. No glasses. When I asked about it, the nurse shrugged. "Your son took them. Said you were calling people nonstop and getting confused." That was straight up bullshit. I'd spent my whole career as a systems engineer. I built satellite navigation software. My mind didn't just go bad overnight. Someone was lying, and my gut told me exactly who. So I played along, took the meds they gave me, smiled at staff, sat through bingo with people who couldn't remember their own names. But I watched. I listened. And on day 3, everything cracked wide open. My neighbor, Linda, showed up looking pissed. "Your son came with a moving truck," she whispered. "Said you had a stroke. Cleared out your house." My house. The one I built after my wife passed. The one where I raised Ethan alone. 40 years of my life. Gone. And right then, I realized this wasn't about my health at all. It was about my house. And that's when I made a decision. If my own son thought I was too weak to fight back, he was about to learn just how wrong he was. Linda didn't stay long. She looked nervous, like she was afraid someone would see her talking to me. Before she left, she leaned in close and whispered, "Your house is empty." Like, empty, empty. Furniture, photos, tools. Everything's gone. Then she squeezed my hand and walked out like she hadn't just dropped a grenade in my lap. That night, I didn't sleep. My brain was wide awake, replaying every conversation, every weird moment from the past few weeks. The sudden doctor visit, the prescription I couldn't remember taking, waking up locked inside a place I never agreed to be in. None of it felt random anymore. It felt planned, calculated. And the scariest part? The only person who could have pulled this off was my own kid. The next morning, Linda came back, But this time she came prepared. She slipped me a legal pad and a pen like we were in some low-budget prison movie. "Write everything down," she said. "Dates, names, anything you remember. Don't trust your memory. Trust the paper." Smart woman. I started from the dizzy spell. Wrote down how Ethan insisted I see his doctor, not my regular one. How the pills made me unusually tired. How my memory went fuzzy right after. I couldn't remember agreeing to anything. Not the meds, not the facility, not giving Ethan control over my life. And that scared the hell out of me, because foggy memory is exactly what guilty people hide behind. That evening, Linda came back again, this time with her laptop. "Before you freak out," she said, "yes, I know how to use this thing. My granddaughter showed me." She pulled up the county property records website and typed in my address. I watched the screen like it was about to punch me in the face. Owner, Ethan Reynolds. Sale date, 2 weeks ago. Sale price, $590,000. My house was worth at least $800,000. I felt my stomach drop. "I didn't sell my house," I said quietly. "I didn't sign anything." Linda looked at me real careful. "Are you sure you're thinking straight?" Fair question. So I told her to test me. She did. Math problems, news headlines, names of neighbors, old work projects. I nailed every single one. She closed the laptop and said, "Yeah, this is bad and illegal." That's when she told me the name of the buyer. Some real estate LLC I'd never heard of. She dug deeper. Guess who was connected to it? Ethan's girlfriend. The one he'd been dating casually for months but never brought around. Turns out she wasn't just his girlfriend. She was a real estate agent with a taste for fast money. The pieces snapped together way too clean. Ethan didn't just sell my house. He sold it cheap to someone he trusted. Someone who knew how to flip it fast and disappear the paper trail. And to do that, he needed control over me. Legal control. That's when it hit me. Power of attorney. I never signed one. I was damn sure of that. But if my signature was on paper somewhere, and I'd been drugged or half out of it at the time, yeah, they could claim anything. The very next morning, before Linda could bring help, Ethan showed up, and he didn't come alone. He walked in smiling, dressed sharp, like he was heading to brunch, not visiting his father in a nursing home. Beside him was a woman in her mid-30s, perfect makeup, designer bag, eyes sharp as glass. "Dad," Ethan said, "this is Chloe, my fiancée." Fiancée? That was news to me. She smiled sweetly and said, "I'm so sorry about your condition." My condition? I shot back. Ethan's jaw tightened. "Dad, please don't do this." "Do what?" "Tell the truth." That's when he said it. The word they were using to bury me. "Your dementia." I looked straight at him and said, "You sold my house, didn't you?" He didn't answer right away. And that silence told me everything. But what Ethan didn't know yet was this. Someone was already lining up proof that would blow his entire story apart. Chloe kept smiling, but it wasn't warm anymore. It was the kind of smile people use when they already think they've won. Ethan stood there with his hands in his pockets, rocking slightly like a guy who just realized the floor under him wasn't as solid as he thought. "Dad," he said, lowering his voice. The doctor documented everything. The confusion, the paranoia, you calling people in the middle of the night, forgetting basic stuff. That never happened. I snapped. Not once. Chloe jumped in quick. That's actually very common with early-stage dementia. Patients don't realize what's happening to them. That line right there? That's when I knew this wasn't her first rodeo. I looked at Ethan. Really looked at him. He wouldn't meet my eyes. "Did you drug me?" I asked. "What?" "No, of course not," he said too fast. "The doctor prescribed medication." "Then show me the records. Show me every test, every scan, every evaluation." Chloe's smile tightened. "Fighting this is only going to make things harder for you. Harder than stealing my house? Locking me up? Nah, miss me with that." After they left, I told Linda everything. She didn't even hesitate. She called her grandson, Mark, a patient advocate at the county hospital. The guy showed up that same afternoon with a clipboard and a calm, serious vibe that instantly made me feel safer. He listened, recorded everything, then said the words I'd been waiting for. "We're getting you an independent medical evaluation." 2 days later, a geriatric psychiatrist named Dr. Elaine Foster sat across from me in a quiet room. No rushing, no leading questions. She tested my memory, problem-solving, reasoning, reaction time. We talked current events, engineering concepts, my work history, my late wife. 3 hours later, she closed her notebook and looked me dead in the eye. "Mr. Reynolds, you're scoring in the top range of your age group," she said. "There is zero evidence of dementia." I felt like I could breathe again. Then she added, "But there's evidence you were heavily sedated. Benzodiazepines. Over multiple days." My blood ran cold. "Someone drugged me?" She nodded. "Then use your altered state to justify committing you here. This is medical fraud." That same night, Mark brought in a lawyer. Gray hair, tired eyes, no nonsense. His name was Daniel Hart, and he specialized in elder abuse cases. He didn't sugarcoat a damn thing. "This happens more than people think," he said. "Family member sees a valuable asset, finds a shady doctor, pushes the parent out of the way." He laid out the plan. "First, get me released. Second, freeze Ethan's access to my assets. Third, go after the house." Turns out the buyer was a shell company, owned by Chloe. Surprise, surprise. Within 48 hours, the facility released me with a formal apology, said the paperwork looked legit. That's how these scams work. Everyone just points at the next form and shrugs. Ethan called me that night, angry and panicked. "They said you're not well enough to leave," he yelled. I had an independent evaluation. I said calmly, "I'm fine." Silence. "Did Chloe buy my house?" Longer silence. "Dad, it's complicated." "No, it's theft." He hung up. 5 minutes later, Chloe called from his phone. "Let's be reasonable," she said coldly. "The house is gone. Fighting this will cost you more than it's worth." "You picked the wrong old man," I said, because the very next step wasn't civil court, it was criminal, and the walls were about to start closing in. The emergency hearing came fast. Way faster than Ethan or Chloe expected. 3 days after I walked out of that facility, we were standing in a courtroom that smelled like old wood and bad decisions. Judge Marilyn Cross sat behind the bench. Sharp eyes, zero patience. You could tell she'd seen enough family betrayals to last a lifetime. Ethan and Chloe sat across from me with their lawyer. Young, expensive suit, way too confident. Chloe looked calm. Scrolling her phone like this was a minor inconvenience. Ethan? Not so much. His knee bounced nonstop. Their lawyer went first. He painted me as a confused old man who didn't understand his own decline. He waved around a medical report from that doctor, the one I'd never met before my episode. Severe cognitive impairment, paranoia, unsafe living conditions. Then he dropped the big one on the table. Power of attorney. My signature stared back at me from the page. "That's not mine," I said out loud. Judge Cross raised an eyebrow. "You'll get your turn, Mr. Reynolds." Ethan took the stand. He did the whole performance. Concerned son, cracking voice, worried eyes. "My father was forgetting things," he said. "Leaving the stove on, getting lost driving to familiar places." None of it was true, but it sounded good. That's the scary part. Then my lawyer, Hart, stood up, calm, surgical. "Mr. Reynolds," he asked, "when did your father sign this power of attorney?" "September 12th. "Where?" "At my apartment." "Who witnessed it?" Ethan hesitated. "Chloe." "Of course she did." Hart didn't rush. "And 5 days later, your father had a fall?" "Yes." "And within 2 weeks of that, you committed him to a care facility?" "Yes." "And sold his house shortly after?" Ethan swallowed. "Yes." Hart leaned in. "Sold it to whom?" Ethan paused. The judge looked straight at him. "My fiancé's company." Boom. Then Hart dropped the numbers. Market value versus sale price. The massive discount. The speed of the transaction. You sold your father's home before his care even reached a full billing cycle, Hart said. So, how did you know you needed to sell so fast? Ethan had no answer. Then Dr. Foster appeared on video. She laid it all out. My test scores, the sedation, the lack of any medical basis for dementia. In your professional opinion, Hart asked, does Mr. Reynolds need supervised care? Absolutely not, she said. He was drugged and committed under false pretenses. The judge turned to Ethan's doctor, the one who signed me away. How long did you examine Mr. Reynolds? About 15 minutes. And how much were you paid? The doctor's face went pale. $5,000, he admitted. Judge Cross removed her glasses. That's never a good sign. I'm invalidating the power of attorney, she said. This commitment was fraudulent, and I'm referring this case for criminal investigation. She issued a restraining order on the spot. Ethan and Chloe were barred from my finances, my property, and me. Outside the courtroom, Chloe finally snapped. You said he wouldn't fight back, she hissed at Ethan. Then she saw me watching. Her smile vanished. I'll drag this out for years, she said. You'll be dead before you win. Maybe, I replied, but you'll be in court the whole time. What Chloe didn't realize was that the district attorney had already started building a criminal case, and they were moving fast. The district attorney didn't waste time. Her name was Karen Holt, and from the second she walked into the room, you could tell she hated elder abuse cases with a passion. She didn't see family drama. She saw predators who thought age made someone disposable. Within 2 weeks, the charges dropped like a hammer. Ethan was charged with elder abuse, fraud, conspiracy, and filing false medical documents. The doctor? Medical fraud and bribery. Chloe? Conspiracy, real estate fraud, theft by deception, the whole ugly package. That's when the phone call started. Ethan called first. His voice was shaky, scared, not angry anymore. Dad, please, this is getting out of control. You drugged me and sold my house, I said. This is control. They're talking about prison. Years. You should have thought about that before you treated me like property. Then Chloe called. Same number, same cold tone. Let's be practical, she said. If you drop the complaint, this all goes away. Not happening. You're an old man, she snapped. People forget things. Courts understand that. So do prisons, I said. She hung up. Ethan's lawyer begged for a deal. He took it. He flipped on Chloe. Agreed to testify. 2 years in prison. Probation after. Lost his professional license. No power of attorney over anyone ever again. Before sentencing, Ethan asked to see me. I almost said no. Almost. But curiosity won. He sat across from me in a small courthouse room. No suit. No confidence. Just a broken man. I didn't think of it as stealing, he said. I thought I was helping. You locked me in a nursing home. I replied, you erased my life. I was going to give you money later. After I was gone, he cried, real tears. Please don't cut me off forever. I love you, I said quietly. But love doesn't mean trust. Chloe didn't get a deal. Her trial was brutal. Text messages, bank transfers, shell companies, a pattern. Another elderly victim flew in to testify. Same scam, different state. The jury didn't even blink. Guilty on all counts. 5 years in prison. When the sentence was read, Chloe looked at me, not angry, not sad, calculating, like she was already planning her next move. Some people don't learn. They just get stopped. The civil case took longer. Paper trails, fake companies, transfers stacked on transfers. But my lawyer stayed on it like a pit bull. 8 months after I woke up in that facility, I walked back into my house. It was empty, stripped, soulless, but it was mine. Standing in that empty house, I had one final decision to make. What to do with a life that almost got stolen? Walking into that house felt unreal. Same walls, same floors, same creak in the hallway that had been there for decades. But everything else was gone. Furniture, photos, tools. 40 years of memories sold off or trashed like they meant nothing. I stood there for a long time, keys in my hand, listening to the echo of my own footsteps. I could have broken down. I almost did, but then I remembered something important. They didn't win. I rebuilt slowly. Thrift stores, estate sales, hand-me-down from friends who heard what happened. Linda was there almost every day, dropping off soup, giving unsolicited decorating advice, arguing politics like nothing had changed. That normalcy, it saved me. People kept asking if I'd done the right thing. How could you send your own son to prison? Don't you regret it? Family is family, right? Here's the truth nobody likes hearing. Family doesn't get a free pass to destroy you. Love doesn't mean silence. Forgiveness doesn't mean pretending nothing happened. And age doesn't mean surrender. Ethan served his time. He wrote me a letter after he got out, asked if we could talk. I haven't answered yet. Maybe one day. Maybe not. Healing doesn't run on anyone else's timeline. I'm older now, sure, but I've got my house, my independence, and my dignity intact. And that matters more than people realize. So if you're watching this and something feels off in your life, if someone is rushing decisions, isolating you, handling your money for your own good, pay attention, trust your gut, ask questions, write things down, get help, because surviving is enough. You deserve to live on your own terms. And I did,